Hello. This message goes out to Elizabeth Warren, Senator of Massachusetts. She wrote me a letter. It says, "Dear Christopher, thank you for contacting me to express your concerns about the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. As you know, DCF of Massachusetts is a state agency tasked with the goal of protecting children and supporting families. Recently, DCF has been targeted of criticism, or has been the target of criticism regarding its handling of several high-profile cases. DCF should treat every family fairly, remain vigilant in monitoring the children and families under its supervision. The work towards outcomes that keep children safe and provide them with the best possible opportunities to succeed." Okay, yeah, the best opportunities. Stealing children and giving them to strangers, that's the best opportunities. Okay, I'll continue. Although federal policy can help support DCF and other state child protective service agencies to make sure that they are run effectively, these programs are administered solely by state governments. Your concerns are best addressed by the Massachusetts State Legislature, and I recommend that you contact your state senator and state representative to express your concerns. I appreciate your reaching out to me on this issue, and I hope you will continue to contact me in the future about issues of importance to you. Sincerely, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, United States Senator of Massachusetts. Okay, she wants me to contact state senator of Massachusetts, but yet her job title, she has a big logo, Elizabeth Warren, U.S. Senator for Massachusetts. So I'm supposed to contact another state senator of Massachusetts, or is she just she's passing the buck to herself? How does this make any sense at all? Does she want me? Okay, now I went ahead and wrote her back. Okay, and let me get the title. Okay, I said, "Please read, as you are contradicting yourself." I said, "You advised me to contact the state senator of the state involved in my problem with DCF. And isn't that what you are, a senator of Massachusetts? Who do you want me to pass the buck to now? Please read your job title in case you have forgotten. Please do not send me another generic Dear John letter. Many have already lost their jobs because of your state's poorly and corruptly run DCF system, so please do something to fix this problem. Since my case started in October 26th of 2012, the head of the DCF has been replaced 3 times. They're on their 3rd one now, and nothing is changing in the system. It's staying exactly the same. Same corruption, same lies, same false reports, child interviews that are not videotaped. It's a written report that says, using words that 7-year-old children don't even know exist yet. Words like vagina and breasts. I don't know if anybody out there has a 7-year-old child that calls their private areas vaginas and breasts. They usually have little nicknames for them, like my pee-pee, or you know, or my boobies, or something like that. Okay, and this report is only written on paper. No video of the child saying it, but there is 3 videos made by the district attorney where they actually videotaped my daughter. They actually have her on film and on audio saying none of this stuff happened. But then 1 week later, they have a written report saying vagina and breasts. And that report was made after they placed my children with the woman that was accusing me of these type things. After it was she had my child for 4 months. 4 months of coercing, coercion, coercing, coaching my child into learning these words to say these things. The district attorney video, they drew a picture of a person, and they pointed to these areas, asked my daughter what they were called. My daughter used the childlike words that she learned when she was living with my family, which she called the vagina her gink, and she called her boobs her breasts. And the district attorney said, did he touch you here? And she said, no, Daddy never did that. And same thing with the breasts. And and I used to get my daughter dressed for school. That was the only time I ever touched her in any way, and also maybe to help her take a shower, because she was too young to be able to do that on her own and do a good job. Well, I'll continue with my letter. Okay, after the, let's see. I said, many have already lost their jobs because of your state's poorly and corruptly run DCF system, so please do something to fix this problem. I said, no one in Massachusetts legislation, whether it be senators, governors, or your own office, lifts a finger to investigate the fraudulent activities of the state-run Department of Children and Families. I said, now I have gone above them and reported the crimes against my civil and human rights to the House of Representatives. They are now investigating all involved parties. They are very interested in why none of the above offices, including yours, have done anything to attempt to contact anyone to look into the situation. I said, your constituents should mean a lot more to you, because without us, you would not be in office. Please try to put forth more effort into helping out people, as that is the general purpose of your position in our government. And I emphasize our government. We have created this government for us to protect us, and they do nothing but protect themselves. They cover up any bad situations, any illegal activities. They cover it up, and they go and find one person that they can blame it on, and they tell that person they must retire, and the person retires, gets their full pension, most likely gets hired by another department in another state, so it's all forgotten about. Nothing truly happens to any of these people. They just go on and on committing these crimes until you actually catch them on video actually committing the crime. Then somebody actually has to do something about it, and one person ends up paying, but all the other people that help them to hide it for 10 years, 20 years, however long it may be, they continue to do whatever they're doing, and there's other people committing crimes, and they continue hiding them. Well, I'm asking you, Elizabeth Warren, to actually get up, grab your frickin' pen, and do something, contact somebody, fix this situation. My two children, Samantha, back here, let's see, Samantha, damn it, there. That's Alex. It's kind of going reverse there. Samantha is in the left of the picture, and Alexander Nuzzo, that's Samantha Marie Nuzzo, Alexander Allen Nuzzo. They have both been kidnapped. 2 years now. They're both being held by a distant cousin who is on housing, food stamps. She also decided not to take my children as just a caretaker. She decided to sign up to become a foster parent because they pay her $1,100 a month to take care of my kids. And my son Alex, there's nothing wrong with him. He's perfectly intelligent. He can use a tablet. He can sound out any words. He was 2 years old when this started happening. Now he was talking really well at the age of 2. After this happened, he was very traumatized, and his speech cut back a whole lot. He hardly even would talk for nearly a year. Well, they had to put him in a speech therapy, which really he should have been in a post-traumatic stress therapy because of this situation that happened to him that slowed his learning process. But he's caught up now. He speaks just fine. He can pronounce my name, which is Christopher, which is not a very easy one at all. Three syllables. And well, now the cousin that has my children, her name is Lavinia Wergen, who's been robbing the federal housing system for years. Well, she's trying to get my son classified as autistic because she'll get more money from the federal government. Well, my daughter Samantha, she was 7 years old when this started happening. Now she's 9 years old, and the cousin is trying to brainwash her as much as possible to try to dislike me, even though she was my best friend on the whole planet. I used to take her to the beach with me every single day off I had. I worked 55 to 60 hours. I put in 185 hours a year in overtime as a telephone repairman for a large telephone company. And I mean, I worked my tail off to make sure they had everything in the world they ever needed. Put her in dance class and everything. There's like 70 some odd videos on YouTube of me videoing my children doing things and having fun. It was not an unhappy family at all. Their mother did have a severe drug problem, and I tried to deal with that for many years. And in the very end, I couldn't handle the drug problem anymore because she was actually stealing my daughter's prescribed medication and taking all the, it was a Ritalin. The doctor prescribed it to her as a recommendation by my daughter's school. Had nothing to do with, it was nothing I did. It was the doctors that did that. But DCF acted as if I was drugging my children. So following a doctor's orders is I guess against the law in their eyes. But well, after she was stealing the medication, things became too bad, so I broke up with her. So she decided to go ahead and make up all these lies and get her cousin involved. And her cousin was somebody that was molested as a child. I have it in a written report. So she, the cousin is most likely post-traumatic stress herself from her own childhood situation. So she went basically crazy or ballistic on this and started calling everything she could to try to make sure I never could see my children again. And I actually filed for custody of my children before she even did this. I filed for custody with weekends going to the mother because I was the one making money in the family, and the mother was not making any kind of money, and I knew I could take care of them. I was planning on the mother living with her brother here in Florida, and I was going to get my own place. I actually opened a car dealership when I moved back to Florida, and I was doing just fine. But then after all this giant traumatic situation happened, with my children being kidnapped, me being called all kinds of names, child molester and whatever else, even though they took my daughter to a doctor, nothing was found, no damage to her vagina or anything like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all still intact down there. And I also, the whole time that I had custody of my children with the mother, they went to go see a pediatrician once a month and were always examined, and there was nothing wrong with them. And because of the school, I had my daughter go to a child psychiatrist to get, for them to prescribe the Ritalin because she was hyperactive in school. And the child psychiatrist talked to my daughter plenty of times. There was never anything about molesting or anything like that. But all you got to do as I guess mostly as a woman in court is say something like that, and automatically they string up the husband, like the Salem witch project. And this actually happened in Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts court is where this happened. Lawrence, Massachusetts DCF department is the one that decided to make these fraudulent reports using words my daughter did not use, as I said. And district attorney videos did not coincide with these reports that these corrupt, disgusting DCF people made. I'm going to call out, there was one DCF employee who actually was very cordial. He was very polite. He would shake my hand. He did not believe what they were doing. He did not believe the stories that they were telling. His name was Habte Katima. He was a wonderful man, very polite, like I said, shook my hand, and you could tell he felt bad for me. He even tried calling out this cousin, Lavinia Wergen, for why is she on housing when she lives with her boyfriend, who, Tony Gannell, who is on, he was on disability, but yet lived with her, but yet she was receiving housing, but yet his family owned the apartment building. So her housing money was going into his family's pocket, and she would not claim that he lived there. That way she could continue to receive housing. And once again, her name is Lavinia Wergen. She lived in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I believe now she moved to Florida, and I have that all being investigated. I have her being, I reported her to the House of Representatives for fraudulent activities. In Massachusetts, they do not prosecute anybody for making fraudulent claims to DCF, because they don't want people to be afraid to do it because of, you know, legal repercussions. But in Florida, it's a felony to make false reports and cause this kind of over 2.5 years now of trauma to a family. I mean, I am now suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. I can hardly function as a human being because all I can think about is my children. I cry 2 or 3 times a day. I can't even look at pictures of them. I have these two behind me, and I keep them off to the side on the wall where I can't see them all the time, because every time I do, all I do is go to tears. If I'm ever looking through my phone or looking through my computer and I see pictures or videos of them, it just I just cry. And now because of this, I've tried to go get jobs. I worked at Target for a little while. I mean, I went from making $80,000 a year. I went and worked at Target for a little while, and every time I'd see the little kids section with all the things my kids loved, I would just cry, and I couldn't help it. But I want to get this word out, and I want this Elizabeth Warren to actually get out of her frickin' chair and contact somebody and do something, instead of pretending like she's not able to do anything, like she's handicapped or something like that, and there's no, like, her job has no power to it at all. I mean, she's a United States Senator of the state of Massachusetts, but yet she can't intervene in anything going on in Massachusetts. What the hell is the point in having this lady sit there? What is it, the chair needs to be kept warm? We don't like cold chairs in these offices or something like that? Do your job, Elizabeth Warren. I'm calling you out on this. Do your job. Because I wrote letters to the governor. I wrote letters to everybody, and nobody does anything. The best reply you ever get is get a lawyer. Well, you know what? My freaking career in life has been destroyed by the kidnapping of my children. It's kind of hard to get up and go to work every day when you've been called a child molester and your children have been taken away from you. It's a little hard to go up and concentrate on trying to make sure you're doing a good job at work. And yeah, I don't know. That's just I need somebody to actually give a crap about what happens to these families, because I'm not the only one. There's thousands and tens of thousands of people with their children taken away for just the stupidest reasons, things that don't even really mean anything, and there's no proof. They have zero proof. If there was proof that I did these things to my child, why am I not in prison? I would think anybody that molested a child should be in prison. And but no, they just say, oh, you lose your rights, and they took away my parental rights. Now I'm not going to see my daughter. She's 9 years old now. I'm not going to see her until, hopefully, she's not too brainwashed. I won't be seeing her for another 9 years. And my son is only 4. He was too young to understand what was going on with this, and I'm not gonna be able to see him for another 14 years. This is sickening. I was the only parent that actually gave enough of a crap to go to work, to not be on drugs, and to take care of my kids. Like I said, I found out their mother was doing drugs way more than I thought, and I tried to get her help plenty of times. I tried to have her to go to counselors, and every time she'd go to a counselor, all she'd do is give him some kind of a story to get more medication prescribed to her. In the end, I couldn't handle it anymore. I said I'm going to be on my own, and as I said, I applied for custody in Florida for both my children. I was going to take good care of them. I didn't care how much it was going to cost for babysitters and daycare and all that other stuff. I was willing to do it. I wanted to take care of them. I wanted them to be safe. I wanted them to have a good home. I wanted them to have a happy home with no fighting and no arguing. And that is the one thing I'm guilty of, is arguing with the mother. And it was always about drugs. It was always about drugs. I even had to buy a safe to keep my daughter's medication in so that the mother would stop stealing it, and I would only put out 1 or 2 pills a day for my daughter to have, and the mother would steal those half the time too. She'd lie to me and say she dropped it and it went underneath the stove or something like that, and the stove was it was a gas stove, so it was very difficult to move that and look for it under there, so it was just an excuse to steal it. But please, somebody out there, hear this story. Know this can happen to any of you. Anybody. You could just have some neighbor make some claim on you that you were yelling or something like that, and DCF can come out and they can take your children away, and then make it nearly impossible for you to get your children back if they feel like you're not bowing down to them. They love to show their power and their ability to control people's lives. Many of them have complexes like that. It's not, and those aren't the right people for that kind of job. They should be people that actually care and actually want to reunite families. I also want to add that it is more beneficial for a DCF worker to take the child from your home rather than work with you while your children are at your home. And the reason for that is because federal funding comes into play as soon as the child is removed from home. State funding is paying for the management of you in your home with your children, and the amount of federal funding as an incentive for stealing children out of people's homes, so they're being paid more money to actually kidnap the children and not work with families. That doesn't make any sense at all. They actually, when they adopt the children out, they get even more money, which that became this DCF department, Lawrence, Massachusetts, and Boston, Massachusetts DCF's primary goal was to adopt the children out, because I believe it's somewhere in the range of $80,000 that they get, in rather than their state budget. It aids them in their state budget every year, which I'm sure they get bonuses out of at the end of the year. And also, as that woman taking my kids as a foster parent, she was getting $1,100 a month, plus clothing money, plus giant food stamp bill because she had more kids in her house. I want to add too that my kids came home from her house a few times with bed bugs, and I reported that to the DCF people, and they basically said, oh, we'll take care of it. And then there was another time where my little 4-year-old son told me that the foster mother, Lavinia Wergen, and her boyfriend, Tony Gannell, smacked him in the face. And he was only 4 years old. He described it. He showed me he showed it to the DCF worker as well. Actually, he didn't show me the smacking motion. He just told me about it. And I said, tell him what you just told me. And the DCF worker, after being informed by my son that he was smacked in the face, the DCF worker goes, oh, was it just like a playing around, like tap or whatever? And my son goes, no, it was like this, and smack, and did his face to the side like that. And you know what the DCF worker's words were? Oh, kids lie sometimes. I have never heard of a 4-year-old child lying and actually demonstrating being smacked in the face, especially at the age of 4. You know, I mean, as you get bigger, a little kid might tell on another little kid, and try to make it sound like somebody's picking on them, but they're not going to be telling you that some parent smacked them in the face and demonstrating it. Well, this all came out in court, but the judge ignored it all. He didn't care. He still just took away my rights. Didn't care to investigate into my son being smacked around by the foster parent. That didn't matter to him either. They all just in this together. They don't want to. None of them want to fight with each other about anything. They all just help each other out to make sure the state has plenty of money coming in, and then a family gets destroyed. Just as if you want to look up Justina Pelletieri, that was another child that was taken from her parents because the parents wanted a second opinion from a different hospital because they didn't like what the first hospital said. And as soon as they asked for a second opinion and tried to take their daughter, who was like I believe she was 14 or 15 years old, tried to take her out of the hospital, they called DCF on her. They took her child. They took the daughter Justina Pelletieri away from the family for nearly 2 years. That child, Justina Pelletieri, was taken away, I believe, in November 2012, about 1 month after, November or December, I have to look it up, but about 1 month after my children were taken. And it had to go on Dr. Phil and Mike Huckabee and all kinds of news channels before DCF finally, after 3 or 4 months of being ridiculed on the media, finally gave that child back. But when the child came back, the child looked like she was a cancer patient that was receiving treatment for a year. Before she went in there, she looked perfectly healthy. She was ice skating, and she was a very active child. But after she got out, she was in a wheelchair. All her hair was gone. They were using experimental drugs on this child, and this is what these hospitals and these DCF people do. They take your kids and they do whatever they want with them. They try to experiment. They become a ward of the state, and they don't become the property of you anymore. They treat children as if they are tangible items. They don't treat them as if they're human beings. So, Elizabeth Warren, stand up, do something, be a woman, be a person of the people. Help the people that have voted you into office, because if you don't want to help us, how do you expect anybody to ever want to vote for you ever again, or to have any kind of respect for you? Thank you.